in your experience, how do you get your suppliers to effectively monitor their suppliers, Chris?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, a lot of times, in med device industries, we're telling the suppliers on who to use and things like that, which adds a whole entire different dynamic to that too. But, I think you need to communicate with your supplier. You need to partner with them and make sure that they know that, hey, you're responsible for whatever's coming in your door. If you're receiving bad product from one of your suppliers, you need to monitor them. You need to work with them and partner with them, just like we are with you. You need to partner with them. They're an extension of your manufacturing floor, so you need to make sure that you're monitoring them. You need to set up appropriate supplier controls. You need to understand, what's coming in your door. You're responsible for it as it comes in your door. I'm responsible for your parts when they come in my door. So it's the same thing in making sure that, from a quality management system, that they're set up appropriately.
So on that note, and a lot about, I think, the successful implementation of this stuff is proactivity versus reactivity, right? So one thing, do you use scenarios without having issues with confidentiality for sure, but do you use success examples relevant to a supplier that you're not having issues with, that you don't have to audit as much because you don't have problems with them, and share those metrics in a way that's confidential with a new supplier, or to Edgar's point, that they can share with a supplier to say, look, this is the expectation. This is what we need to get to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we leverage, those performance criteria with like suppliers. If you have 10 molding suppliers, we let them know that say, hey, molding supplier A, B, C, D, and E, this is how they're performing. This is how they're performing against you. Obviously, we don't give, suppliers names in those discussions, right. But they know who they are. They're all competing for the same business, and that'll push them harder. And then, that's how you develop your suppliers too, is understand, hey, supplier XYZ doesn't have these challenges. How are we going to change our system so that we don't have that? So absolutely, leverage that performance monitoring, leverage the data that you're having in any way possible, and make sure that your suppliers are reaching and continue reaching for those best practices.
Competition, I always say competition makes all of us better. And
absolutely,
certainly from a proactivity standpoint, and we put out a lot of messaging relevant to this here over the last few months, but making decisions based on your value system and then measuring your outcomes. And you pointed to it several times on a regular basis, not only measuring it, but evaluating the data to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward to create those best practices.
Absolutely. And then using that data, get it, evaluate it, and then use it to drive those best practices.